Hi everyone, my name is Bintu and I'm the Information Officer here at U.S. Consulate General, Ho Chi Minh City. We know that applying for a U.S. visa can sometimes feel long, complicated, and even expensive, and we are fortunate enough to have colleagues from the consular section, Mika, who will help answer some of your questions here. So thank you, Mika, for joining us. We can't wait to hear from you on some of these responses from frequently asked questions. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Bintu. Xin chào các bạn. I'm Mika. I'm an immigrant visa officer at the U.S. Consulate General in Ho Chi Minh City. You will meet me and my colleagues if your families have petitioned for you to come over and live with them or if your employers have.
So, of course, people have lots of questions about the immigrant visa process, and I'm just gonna get started with the first one. I've been waiting for over 2 years for my interview, and I'm so nervous. What will they ask me?
This is a question I'm commonly asked, and we know the wait times are rather long. So the purpose of the visa interview is to determine if you qualify for the visa. So we're going to ask you questions related to your visa category. We have about 26 or so immigrant visa categories that we work on, so we're just trying to make sure that you qualify for the conditions of the visa you've applied for. So generally basic questions. How are you related to the person who's petitioned for you? What is your relationship like? How have you met? How are you maintaining your relationship? We know that there's a great distance between the United States and Vietnam and big time difference. So what does that look like for you? And really we're just trying to establish that you have this relationship and how it's being maintained.
What does it mean when you say to not use a visa correctly?
Well, as I just said, we have about 26 or so immigrant visa categories. Basically, we want to know every visa has certain laws that needs to abide by, that you will go and you will do this stated activity in the United States, and then you will either return or not depending on that category. So all we are trying to do is make sure that you qualify for the class that you've applied for.
How do I show that my relationship is real?
You know your relationship best. Think about the people who are closest to you. When you're a parent talking about their child, or whether you're a husband or wife talking about their spouse, you're going to know what's special to you and how you're conducting that relationship. But you should also think about what is going to be easy to convey. So if you tell us, for example, you met in high school, well, that's great. Where are your pictures from high school? Let's see them, because we all love hearing these stories as well. You know, if you met on the internet, what are your Facebook profiles, or what are your dating site profiles? Think about how you can show the things that you are saying. So, you know, if your child went to the States to study, well, what did they study? Do you have a picture of them at graduation? They're things that are really easily linked, and I think that if you think about the special people in your life and all the things that you can say about the special people in your life, you'll really know what to show us.
I met my husband through my aunt, but I heard that I shouldn't say that because the interviewing officer might think that that's fake. Is that true?
No. I know lots of family members do enjoy playing matchmaker, but we also know that people meet in many unique ways. As I just said, you know, we've heard of people meeting online, we know people have met through school, through other kinds of relationships. All of that is fine. It's just what you can speak to. And we know that you're going to be nervous at the window potentially, and we know that you've been waiting a long time to come see us. So really, just tell us your story. If your aunt introduced you, well, how does your aunt know this person, and why did they think that you guys would be a great couple? Tell us your story. But please do tell us the correct story. Unfortunately, we've had too many applicants come to the window and tell us things that they think we want to hear, but then they can't really talk about it. So, for instance, they say we met in high school, but there's nothing there. There's no pictures, there's no records, there's nothing to substantiate that story, but they think that we want to hear that they've known each other for 20 years. We don't want to hear that. We just want to hear the truth. It'll make things a lot easier on us and a lot easier for you to be issued your visa, because at the end of the day, if we find some untruths in a case, we have to deny that visa, regardless of what else is true in the package.
I heard that the U.S. Consulate is turning away applicants before their interviews because they didn't bring the correct documents. So what documents do I need?
Okay, so we've made a checklist for you. You can go onto our website and print it off for yourself. Basically, there are identity establishing documents and relationship establishing documents that you are going to be asked to upload to your application and to bring in. If somebody's preparing this application for you, they need to make sure that all of these all of these details are put in your application before you arrive to the consulate. And we're doing so because we want to cut through the very long backlog of cases that we have. We want to see you as fast as we can. So we would like to process your case without telling you that you need to go back for a birth certificate or a passport.
Now, we hear this a lot. Do I really need to print off all my chat logs with my fiance?
No, not all of them. But again, it really does go back to thinking about how you're going to establish the relationship you're telling us that you have. So if the only way you communicate with your fiance is through Facebook chat messages, then yeah, you're probably going to have to show us your chat messages, and a good number of them. If your fiance has come to visit you several times, then maybe you just have pictures of the 7 or 8 times that he's been to Vietnam to come see you. It really does go back to your story. But I would also caution you that you are showing your documents to government officials, so please do think about what you're going to be showing us, and please reserve your private photographs, your private conversations for yourselves. We do not need to see that. We really are just looking to establish if you're speaking regularly, what are the kinds of things you're talking about, if you've gone on trips together, where have you gone, what have you done, how are you maintaining your relationship?
Based on all of the information that you just provided, it sounds like it might be easier for me to buy a fake packet with evidence from a visa agent. What do you think?
We're not looking for easier, Bintu. What we're looking for is your relationship, because like I've said before, we often see things that don't quite make sense in an application, and it is really easy to turn up documents that are fake. We all speak Vietnamese, we can all read in Vietnamese. Obviously we have local staff as well. So if we're starting to see things that don't quite add up, you're more likely to be denied the visa. So that is a risk I do not recommend you take.
So based on all of that information that you just provided, Mika, it sounds like it might just be easier to buy a packet full of fake information to demonstrate my relationship. What do you think?
Don't do that. We look through packets of information every day. All of the consular officers can speak and read in Vietnamese, and obviously we have document specialists as well. So if we're looking at a packet overall and we start seeing some things that don't make sense, or we start seeing some documents that aren't quite real or are just completely fake, we are going to deny that visa. So we really are just looking for your stories. We don't work with any visa agencies. We don't have anyone we take outside information from. We really are just looking to see what you are going to tell us about your family member.
So I received a blue sheet at my interview. What does that mean?
So an OF-194 is generally a request for additional information. Often the officer might need some more information to make a determination about your case. It really doesn't have to be anything negative. It's more, you either know you're nervous at the interview, or you're missing a few pieces of paper that we kind of need to establish the relationship or the intent. So basically it's a come back to the consulate or send these documents to us. Very often you'll find their requests for either personal information, birth certificates, passport information that doesn't quite line up, or we're asking you for more information because maybe you only brought a handful of pictures to the interview window, you didn't bring your communication records with you, you've said that your spouse has visited 10 times, so we were looking to see where those trips were and when they were. Just additional information. They're really nothing more to consider than read the paper, follow its instructions directly, and when you have everything that the paper is asking for, then send it all in to us.
We hear that a lot of immigrant visas get denied. Can you talk about why?
That actually isn't true. That's one of the myths that goes around about visas. The consulate actually issues the vast majority of the applications that we get. A lot of the times, if there is a denial, at least on the immigrant visa side, it's because we've either failed to establish the existing relationship or technical things have happened. Sometimes a child is aged out of a visa category, or a person no longer qualifies because of their petitioner has either naturalized or their status has changed.
Can I do this process on my own? What if I need help?
Yeah, I actually encourage people to do their own processes, because everything that the SEAC is going to ask you and everything in that application is about you, and you actually know all of the information. So whether it's biographical, your name, your birth date, your address, where you worked, where you lived, or how you met your spouse, you clearly know all that information yourself, and you're going to be the person who can best speak about that information. We also know that sometimes it's a little bit technical and maybe you need a little bit of help. Perfectly fine. The only thing we ask is that you make sure that you know the contents of your application, because we're going to be asking you, and you are the one responsible for everything stated in this application. And if somebody's going to help you, please make sure that they're looking for reasonable fees or they're offering reasonable assistance. So this isn't something that should be very, very expensive. This is not something that's going to take another person a very long time. The SEAC takes 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes to fill out. So think about what somebody helping you for under an hour should reasonably run you.
Thank you. Well, my visa agent put incorrect information on my application, but that's not my fault. So why did my visa get denied?
Unfortunately, we often hear this. You are responsible for everything in your visa package. In fact, when you come to the consulate, you will swear an oath that says, I know that everything in this application is true. That is both what you say and also all the paperwork. So you are taking responsibility for every document that you have presented to the officer, because without them, we cannot make an adjudication.
And before we go, I have one last question. If the applicant still has questions or has specific questions about their case, who should they contact?
So we know we've answered very general questions today, and we know that people have a lot of very specific questions about their cases. The appropriate place to contact is our info team, whose website and email will be on the screen shortly. They're the correct person to ask, and they will get back to you within 2 business days about your specific question about your case. They're actually the only email address who's going to have the full picture of what is going on in your case. So please don't reach out to friends and family in different places and listen to all the myths. Contact us directly. We are happy to answer your questions about your case. And as a final note, as we've said repeatedly, that you are responsible for your own application. So please take care of yourselves. Don't allow yourselves to be taken advantage of by unscrupulous agents who are going to be charging you a lot of money for a service that they may or may not be providing correctly. The SEAC takes about an hour to fill out. You can do it on your own. A package to put together should also take about an hour or 2 to fill out. And your story really is the best one. So with all that information in hand, please do put your applications together as best you can, and we look forward to meeting you at the consulate.
And a special thank you to Tamika for joining us today for this session of Ask a Consul. We hope that you were able to get some really good responses from your frequently asked questions on all of our consular processes. We also look forward to welcoming you another time for our next Ask a Consul. If you loved the responses, enjoyed watching this video, or found some useful information during this video, leave a comment or a like in the comment section. Thank you.